Just a really quick video today. For 27 years I woke every morning believing that I would be anxious, panicky, obsessive and just overwhelmed by the symptoms and thoughts that anxiety brings for the rest of my life. I never thought I'd have a normal life. And then age 27, after all of that, after all the medication, the CBT, the NLP, the hypnotherapy, the acupuncture, the alternative therapies, I cured myself. My frustration now isn't that, it's flipped, because now I wake every day to social media comments, to emails, to information coming in from clients and non-clients around the world, thousands of them, that reflect exactly what I was experiencing in the latter years of my anxiety disorder. And my frustration is that, you know, despite knowing how to overcome anxiety completely and having created an organisation that's helped well, with our materials and with our resources, over 20 million people so far, 194,000 people plus that have used our home learning program. And despite the fact that we have the most overwhelming evidence and testimonials and support for the fact that what we do actually cures anxiety disorders, and despite the fact that we're an accredited learning educational centre, that we have registered psychotherapists and psychologists administering our therapy, and despite the fact that the evidence is absolutely on a human level totally overwhelming, people still reject it. And I asked yesterday, why do you reject us when clearly you can see that what we do works? And the answer that came back overwhelmingly was because everything else has failed. How sad is that? Because everything else has failed people, like it failed me. These people are prepared to reject what works. So because of inappropriate treatments, because of the negligence of people who, despite having no evidence for creating recovery, pitch recovery as the outcome of their therapy, because of that, sufferers like you and sufferers like I once was are rejecting what we do. Because if everything else has failed, this is going to fail too. And it's utter shit. It's just not true. Because when people do, and I apologise for the noise, I'm somewhere that's quite noisy today, as you can see, despite all of the evidence that states that what we do works, despite all of that, and despite the fact that nobody else has that level of evidence, and despite the fact that these people are desperate and that I desperately want to help them, they're still rejecting what we do because everything else has failed them. And I had one last night that listed everything that this person had CBT, NLP, psychiatry, they'd been hospitalised, they'd had medication, they'd had all kinds of invasive psychological processes applied to them, and all it had done is exacerbated their anxiety. It had made them far worse. And so this person said, you know, I've had all of that stuff, what makes you think you can cure me? Well, the answer is very simple, because the evidence stacks up that that's what we do, whereas the evidence for the other stuff doesn't stack up. And my frustration is that after my 27 years of suffering and my 20 years of recovery and 20 years helping tens of thousands of other people to recover, that you still wake up every day feeling like I once did. And it's just bullshit. It's unacceptable to me, and I will keep going until you and every other sufferer gets the message that they can be completely cured. And that's my quest in life. But I got up this morning and went for this walk, and I thought, what can I say to people to make people truly understand that what we do is as good as I say it is, and is as good as our reputation? Because you don't deserve to suffer from another day, not one more day, not another minute. You don't deserve to suffer, and you don't need to suffer. And despite what everybody has told you, despite what you've been told by medics and psychologists and psychiatrists, you do not need to suffer. And it's absolute shit that anxiety is fear, and that fear is an emotion, and that the emotion should always be there. Anxiety is like fear diarrhea. It's a condition of the emotion of fear. It is not a normal, natural human state to be anxious. It's unacceptable to be anxious, in the same way as it's unacceptable to have diarrhea constantly. You know, you need fear. You don't need anxiety. Nobody needs anxiety. It's unproductive. It's overwhelming. It doesn't make you productive in the situation where fear should make you productive. Fear has an end point, a point at which it reaches where it's at its maximum efficacy. Anxiety pushes you past that point. It's not dangerous, it's not going to harm you, but it's horrendously unpleasant and it's unnecessary. So please just don't watch this video and reject what we do, believing that because everything else has failed you and because you've been told this and because you've been told that, that you're going to be anxious for the rest of your life. Because had I accepted that, I wouldn't be stood here today in Pollenza, having flown here with my family, doing this video for you, having spent 20 years helping people just like you. I would still be in my house, isolated and feeling desperate and alone. I certainly wouldn't be doing what I do today. So please, please don't reject what we do. Just try it. For God's sake, there's a money-back guarantee. Phone the centre today, speak to one of the specialists and get it sorted. Because I can't bear the thought of you suffering for one day longer. And this isn't sales pitch. If it is sales pitch, it's selling you the possibility. It's selling you inspiration. It's not selling you a product. Because if it doesn't work for you, and it will, you just get your money back. And I don't win. But there's a potential for you to win today because it makes you feel better from today, from the first day you start it. So please just try it. Okay? Take care.